Good morning, everyone, and welcome to All Core Devs Testing number 81. It's June 1st, 2026. I think we've got a bit of DevNet discussion to talk about maybe the fallout from DevNet 4, and then we'll have a good look at some upcoming spec updates, and then we'll have a bit of discussion how we move forward with the next DevNets, how Glamstam DevNet 5 might look, for example. So let's get to it. First off, Glamsterdam. Just a quick heads up. The fortnightly Wednesday gas repricing breakout calls that Maria has been holding on Wednesdays, they've stopped now as the specs have stabilized, and basically any discussion will now be moved to this call in ACDT. I'll just drop the agenda in the chat, and then we can jump straight to DevNet 7. So the current state of DevNet 7 is it's stable, and apparently there's been 100 EVM fuzzing with 100% participation. Maybe Stefan would like to jump in and give an update there, or someone else from Eve Pandrops.
Yeah, sure. So it seems that 8037 has mostly been successfully implemented in all clients. I can see that from a consensus side, most clients are agreeing most of the time, and there are just some small blips when some clients are updating or creating a new commit, and the image is updating with Watchtower most of the time. So it's working pretty well, and most clients are now working on benchmarking and performance. So DevNet 7 branches will stay around, so clients can iterate on benchmarking mostly, so we can get the final numbers for that. But overall, it seems very stable at the moment.
Great news. Thanks a lot, Stefan. On DevNet 7, ETH 70 and ETH 71 were mandatory, and I think you raised the question in a comment as to whether this works complete. Is there anyone in particular you wanted to hear from, or?
No, just if we could get a quick update from all clients, so I can just check it off with confidence, because I think we haven't put too much time in confirming it from a testing perspective.
Okay, perfect. Yeah.
They're both implemented in Nethermind and live.
Perfect. Thanks, Ben. Any other clients would like to speak up? Is anyone from Bezo here and know the status of? So Tony says ETH 71 is done on all clients, as far as he knows. ETH 70, has anyone got an update there? Bezu, Daniel says both are done in Bezu. ETHREX both done. Anyone from Aragon here?
Yes, we have them both implemented.
Perfect. Thank you. I'm not sure if Ref could make the call today, but I think I saw Raimi in the call. Does he know the status?
Yeah. I think they have it.
Okay, perfect.
I think last one is Nimbus then. Yeah.
What was the question? Sorry.
Just if ETH 70 and ETH 71 is done in the client, or if there is still some open work.
Yeah, it's done from our side.
Perfect. I presume it's done in Geth. If anyone from Geth is in the call, maybe they can speak up quickly.
We also have the ETH 71.
Any update on ETH 70?
We also have that.
Okay, perfect. All right, thank you. And I think we'll move on from that. Are you happy with that, Stefan? I think that's pretty complete.
Perfect. I checked it off already. Just wanted to confirm.
Nice. Okay. Thank you. Then just while we're still on BalDevNet 7, Steel is still in the process of merging AT37 into their default development branch, Forks Amsterdam. That's pretty close, if I understand correctly. And once that happens, we will cut a final release for BalDevNet 7 at 7.3.0 as a sanity check for everyone. It will ping you obviously in the Discord once we get that far. Okay, so Maria or any benchmarkers in the call, as benchmarking is happening on BalDevNet 7, I just wondered if you wanted to have a quick round here about the state of clients on BalDevNet 7 regarding optimizations, or whether you'd like to defer to tomorrow's call in the gas benchmarking committee.
Maybe it's better to defer. As a general remark, I can say that some clients are still working on optimization, so we don't yet have final numbers there. So when we do, maybe we can update here in this call. But I think for now, it's better to just defer to the call tomorrow.
Perfect, thanks. So that would be the end of BalDevNet 7 updates. Then the next on the agenda would be the Glamsterdam DevNet 4 situation. I believe there was a split last week. Does anyone want to give a quick overview of what happened there and what the next steps would be?
Sure. Can you guys hear me well?
Yep.
Yeah, so last week we had a chain split, and since then we have updated the spec, and we're expecting to have Alpha 9 spec release by hopefully end of the day. Based on the decisions that we make today, we're going to be either expanding the scope or keep it as is. And then we could target to have a new DevNet up with Alpha 9 spec as early as maybe tomorrow.
Justin asks what we changed in the spec.
Yeah, I'm sorry, what was the problem and the fix?
There's a PR posted above 5307.
I think there was some clarification regarding some, was it PTC? Maybe.
Oh, that's right. I don't recall if that was the issue, but yeah, great.
So maybe I can quickly clarify that. So for Loadstar, at least, we implemented should build on full as per the spec. And what basically happened there was we built a block that we didn't accept ourselves as head, basically kept building on that branch. So that's just so we have a PR for that, but it doesn't really need a release, I guess.
Okay.
The reason I would like to have a release is it's a bit nicer for us to keep track of which specific version goes into which specific DevNet. So if someone that maybe wasn't included in the previous DevNet can still be onboarded using the specific offline if we do end up making a new release. Also, if we end up including 8045, then we also run into new release.
Yeah, but also this only clarifies what the Loadstar issue was. So at least for us, but I still don't know why the network broke like that. So we stopped also peering with Prism. Maybe other clients implemented the same bug. I'm not sure.
I believe the other PR 5307 is from 2ETHs. Is 2ETHs in the call?
Oh no, that one is the issue, basically outlining it.
Oh, that's the issue. Okay. Oh yeah, sorry. Perfect. Thanks. So Justin is suggesting that we merge these PRs before the next Alpha 9 release.
Yeah, please take a second to review them.
So previously, Barnabas, you suggested quite a fast timeline about essentially a new release today and launching as early as tomorrow. Would it be okay to consider the message from Justin and include those other PRs before creating a new release?
Just to clarify, I think we can make the release today or early tomorrow. These PRs are relatively simple.
Okay.
Yeah, I think the main question is really 45.
Is that relatively clear how to proceed there? Okay.
From my perspective, yes.
Okay, well that's the main thing. Thanks a lot for sharing that, and thanks for the explanation, Nico. I guess you will follow up on that async.
I think it would be good to make a decision on 8045 on today's call, whether we want to have it in or we want to DFI it. I would not want to keep going back and forth on these small EIPs.
Yeah, we just need to make a decision on 8045.
Is that a decision that you, Justin, and Barnabas want to drive right now, since we're on the topic?
Yep, I will let Barnabas do it then.
Sorry, could you repeat that?
So if you'd like to get a decision on 8045 today, do you want to reach out to client teams and see how they feel? Do client teams want to chime in?
Yeah, I mean, I hope we have a client team from each team here. Could you guys chime in whether you would want to have 8045 in the next DevNet cycle? Maybe we can call out different client teams like Lodestar.
Yeah, we already have it implemented, so we would be good with that. It's also pretty simple for us.
Prism? I think Prism also implemented it already. We have Lighthouse.
Yeah, I think it's not a huge lift for us. So yeah, we're cool with it.
Anyone from Techo? Or Nimbus? Or Grandin?
Dimitri from Tech, you said something for a split second, but I didn't hear it.
Yeah, we have not said it's it, but we will add it.
Yeah, we have a PR from Nimbus and ready to merge soon. I mean, once the spec updated.
Yeah, it sounds like everybody would have an implementation ready, and I think we should include it then.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, I think that was also pretty clear to me. Everyone seems in favor. The only question is basically this is a silly question, but we're abandoning DevNet 4, right? We're going to bring that back. So
yeah, that's correct.
If we're sort of breaking into the DevNet discussion, which we're going to enter in more detail below, but just quickly as a temperature check while we're on the topic, it sounded like CL teams wanted to have a DevNet at the same spec as Clamstam DevNet 4 in order to verify stability before any big changes. What's the temperature on including 8045 in that updated spec, i.e. updating the spec?
It's a very, very small change. It's very
Okay, Nico also says doesn't matter. All right, okay. Then moving on to the spec changes. So that's the existing DevNets finished and we move on to spec changes discussion. So basically the first spec change that we've had is just a heads up. The spec change this morning that was merged, which basically you have to have at least one storage change in order to have a slot change. I think, let me just find it. Harnet raised that in the Discord, and Rahul made a PR against the spec and added tests this morning. Yes, Ben.
Yeah, I just want to confirm that the target gas limit in payload attributes, which is required for the glance to them devnets, that's not compatible with the BAL devnets. Is that correct?
We are doing 190 mil on Amsterdam devnet.
No, I don't mean that. Where the consensus layer is passing in the target gas limit.
Oh, yeah, that is for Amsterdam only.
Okay.
It's not for BAL.
Okay, so this is another change that EL clients will have to make before they move to the Glamsterdam series of devnets. Is that right, Ben?
No, it just means we need to keep it as slightly separate from, so we have to put that on top of, but not put it in the BAL devnet. That makes sense.
Okay.
Everybody has the change.
Yeah, makes sense. Okay, thanks. Back to the original agenda point. Rahul, did you want to briefly mention this, or is it very obvious to anyone? This is basically more of a heads up.
Yeah, I think this is not possible to be generated by a client. This is basically a protection against having a malicious PAL with some bloated entries. So a valid client should not be able to generate it. Yeah, it's basically an additional check that we are ensuring to avoid a problem with parsing PAL.
Okay, all right, thanks, Rahul. Any questions to that from any client teams? Okay, then moving on to a point that Tony raised as a comment on the agenda, another point for BAL 7928 for state access decoupling. Tony, would you like to drive a conversation on that one?
Yes, happy to do so. I posted the PR in the chat. And essentially, we discussed that last week already. Like, what is the ordering? When do we want to charge for certain things when it comes to a call? And this popped up during 7702 discussions. And we almost had agreements, but Dragan from Rev proposed, like, in my opinion, almost a cleaner solution to everything. Like, it decouples a little bit the BAL from the access list tracking. And essentially what we do here is today we charge the 2,600 for cold access. And we do so even before we check the call stack depth and also before we check the sender balance. This means like if those two checks fail, then we build basically 2,500 cold gas for nothing because eventually the address was never loaded. And the proposal here would then be to only charge 100 gas, then check the depth, check the balance, and afterwards, after we did those checks, we charge again for 2,500, such that we end up at the 2,600 again. And this is currently the PR, so I would love if clients could have a look. I know that all clients except Rev already signal support for the current implementation, which wouldn't be doing that. But yeah, maybe Dragan, I saw earlier that you're on the call. Maybe you can provide some context of why the current way of doing things would be more difficult for Rev, and what is the initial motivation why we should go for this change here.
Yeah, basically the current solution is fine for us, but there is some proposal that will made to like split the warming from the ball inclusion. And in red, we have basically optimized those kind of things where we have just one hash map access that does both the check for the warming and check for inclusion for the ball. And yeah, all those kind of things are done in one hash map. So when I saw that proposal, I thought to myself, what would be that basically I could do implementation, but we could not be performant. I thought to myself, what would be if I design the checks now, what would be the order of those checks? And that's a solution that Tony is basically the PR that Tony made. Basically do the gas, the basic gas that you need first, then do the checks that needs to be done, and then do the loading that basically proceeds after that. In the end, that make basically the first proposal that was done even better, because now we optimize both on the AIP 7702 access and optimize both on the target access. Basically, we do those check even before we access that. That means that if caller doesn't have balance or we are at the end of the call stack, those addresses are not going to be loaded inside the ball, and I think that's like the best outcome.
Awesome, thanks. Just to flag that for other clients, if we would decide to merge that PR, this would mean all clients except Ref would have to change their implementation to make sure that items are not put into the ball without the actual access on the disk happening. So this would be quite nice to align the ball with actual state access, but it also means some clients will need to change. And I would love if clients would find time to look into this. It's for some clients at least, it's a quite deep change, I think. And it might not be a very difficult change, but it's quite deep in the code bases. So I would love if clients can take their time to look into this. And yeah, I mean, if someone is on the call who has already looked into this, I'm curious, like, what is the perceived complexity with such a change? If the complexity is high, I would just propose we keep the code as it is.
Just mention
teams on the call that have looked into this change.
Just mention from red side, we are both fine with current change and basically present logic and this PR that Tony made. I had problem with that previous request.
Okay, so you would either go with as is or with the latest PR, right? Get that correctly. Okay, I see in the chat you say yeah. Okay. If there is no, I mean, we can keep discussing this. There is a thread in the BAL Discord, and if clients decide we should do that, we should decide on that soon, just to get it into a next DevNet or the second next. Otherwise, I would just say we keep it as is, and that's the default.
Yeah, that definitely sounds like it'd be a change that'd be worth making sooner rather than later. Would it be possible for client teams to have a look at that by ACDE and we bring it up again then on Thursday?
Yeah, I will check it. So guess.
Perfect. Thanks, Gary. Okay, thanks for that, Tony. But perhaps we need to follow up on Thursday for that one, if you want to drop it on the ACDE agenda. Otherwise, moving on. Now to 8037. I believe Maria wanted to give a heads up on an 8037 change.
So I just wanted to highlight two things. So we had a couple of open small changes to 8037 that were meant to be included in Glamsterdam DevNet 5, which will now be likely Glamsterdam DevNet 6. And this is just a warning that that PR to the EIP was merged. So if you guys want to take a look, it's a couple of clarifications and one bigger change. And then there's also another PR open that Gary added that is focused on the reservoir mechanics for authorizations and essentially expands a bit the refunds that we give in those cases. So for the first change, I think it was less controversial, let's say. So it was I merged it already, but for the second change, yeah, it's just a question for the clients to see if they like this change and if they wanted to be included in the EIP. I don't know if you guys had time to look into it, but I linked the PRs in the agenda.
Yeah, I can quickly introduce the change. So basically, the current spec is a bit unclear in certain scenarios, such as what if the authorization itself is invalid, and now we just pre-charge all the state gas, and if the authorization is invalid and it doesn't really happen, and then we will overcharge the state gas for it. And another scenario is it is possible that we have multiple authorization within a single transaction against the same account, and we change the delegation for this account from the empty to a address, and then from this address to the empty again. In this scenario, the net state change is 0. But according to the current spec, we will also overcharge certain state gas for these authorizations. And the intention is I really want to align the goal that we only pay, the amount of state gas we pay will actually match the changes in the state. So I extend the current spec by adding a few more rules. One rule is if the authorization is invalid, and we need to refund the 4 state gas, including the one for the account creation and also the one for the delegation marker. We will still charge the regular for the state access, for the computational cost, but we need to refund the state part. And another important change is if we, like in the scenario I have mentioned before, if we are clearing a delegation which was paid previously within a single transaction, and we not only refund the state gas for this clearing operation, we also need to refund the state gas for the previous delegation, because the net change now becomes 0, and the state gas for all the authorization should also be 0. So by adding these additional rules, I guess we need, and I think now we will only pay the actual state change. We only pay the state gas for the actual state change.
Thanks a lot for the overview, Gary. I'm guessing, did any other client teams have a chance to look at this? I think this is a change that Maria's asking more input from other EL teams for this one.
So maybe just to add a bit more context. So I do like the change in general, but it will be it will change the implementation a bit. So I just wanted to make sure that everyone is aware and is okay with adding it before merging the change and include it in the DevNet.
Has anyone on the Steel side had a chance to have a look at it and the potential impact on tests? Do you have any feeling there, Maria, or anyone else?
I think Spencer did a thumbs up, so I'm not sure if he wants to add anything. And I think Dragan, you're going to say something, right?
Yeah, I didn't look at the detail, but in general, I think change makes sense. Yeah, basically, we can be more accurate on the state gas that is spent on authorization list if authorization lists get duplicated, and it should be easy to check, at least because we already load the previous account and we need to compare it with the original version that we want to do. So yeah, from both implementation side and the sense of the change, it makes sense.
Yeah, happy here as well.
Thanks a lot for the input, Dragon and Spencer. That looks pretty good. If Aragon or Nevermind has an opinion already, or Nimbus EL. Otherwise, I'd ask you to have a look quickly at this proposal to give a bit of feedback. Okay. Still got a bit to discuss, so moving on. I think this is the last actual spec change that I've found. This is regarding 2780. You didn't flag this yourself, Maria. Maybe this still needs a bit more time. I'm not sure. This is a change proposed by Ben, I believe, or Dragon. Let's have a look. Does anyone want to quickly explain this one?
Maybe I can jump in on this one. So this is, for my understanding, is a proposal from Dragan to simplify how we are doing some of the charging. So essentially in 2780, we do like a full separation of if each transfer is a self-transfer, if it's calling a precompile contract, and it gives like different values or different costs to these things. The reason why I haven't merged these is I'm still in the process of refactoring that EIP and waiting a little bit on also some benchmarking results so that we can have like a more coherent version of that EIP. And then once we have it, we can maybe merge these simplification. And I think also it will depend on how the final costs look like. Not final, but a bit more stable costs look like from the benchmark. So I would say if it's okay by everyone to kind of put a pause on this one and leave it as to do, maybe we can follow again next week.
That's perfect. Thanks, Maria, for the overview and the update.
To quickly summarize it, there's like
Yes.
three, I think, changes there. One is to remove target to precompile. I think this is like agreed by everybody that should be removed. To remove the edge case where the caller and target are the same. I think Ben raised the issue about the log. Basically the gas for the log should be even lower. I agree with that. To be honest, didn't have time to update the PR. And the third thing is pricing the access to the caller and the delegate if the caller has no, sorry, target and delegate to not take into account if it is warm or cold, just assume it's cold loaded because it doesn't matter a lot, and it would be like a little bit more faster if you don't need to access the access list. That's probably some vector, not hash map, to just like mark it always as the cold access. I think those are like the three topics. Yeah.
Thanks, Dragon. Ben?
So my objections on this were you don't emit the log for self-transfer, so we shouldn't charge for it. Also on the 2, I agree the access list, ignore the access list, but it's in the 2, so it's like it's in the access list. So is it already warm, as it were, because it's literally in the transaction? And also saying that it's a hot transfer on a self when it's already warmed by being the from address is, yeah, it doesn't fit with charging. And we're already special casing self transfers in the logs.
I'm fine with that. If you can skip the access to the access list and just assume the target and the caller are the same, yeah, I'm fine with it because it's easy to check, and especially as intrinsic gas inside intersection pool. Yeah,
But
makes sense.
also it's like the 2 address is in an access list by being actually in the transaction. But I mean the access list is irrelevant. I agree with that.
Yeah, I agree with you.
And the precompile thing was because precompiles are warm addresses, but I think it's an irrelevant use case. I'm happy to not special case people. Because why are you sending ETH to a precompile?
Awesome. It sounds like we got some resolution on that. I guess you can take it to the PR now.
I think it still needs benchmark results.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, finalization. Yeah. Okay. Thanks, Ben.
Be free
Yes,
to open new PR with those kind of changes, or if you like, I can make these changes to that PR. Fine with any.
Any preference on that, Ben? Make the changes to this PR or create a new one?
This PR would be fine.
I also say I already have one for the parameter changes. So I would prefer to maybe finish that one first, and then we can try to align that one with the PR from Dragan, if that's possible.
Okay, sounds good. So Maria will finalize her changes and then you can PR on top of that. Okay, thanks, Maria. All right, moving on. In the agenda, I did mention Pavel's 8246 to remove the self-destruct burn. I don't think we need to discuss the specs here. I think it was just more of a question, when do we get include that? And that's exactly our main big topic that we still need to get in today. So I would basically quickly just go through the to-dos we have for Amsterdam, our next spec to-dos we need to do. So you can find it in the agenda if you want. You might want to refresh because it did change during the call. So basically we need to finalize the gas repricing numbers, but this is ongoing. That's no problem. The CL stability, we just talked about that. the issues that we had on Glamstam DevNet 4. Then on the EL side, we need to include new EL EIPs. So what I just talked about, the self-destruct burn 8246. Then once the final numbers have landed from 1, we need to include EIP 2780 and EIP 8038, which update the gas costs. We could add these to a DevNet with placeholder numbers in the interim. Then we still have not had an updated 7954, which is the increased MAC contract size on a DevNet. So that needs to land at some point. And then the other EIP spec changes that we had above, and then potentially any other CL changes that we still want to get in. We discussed previously that 8045 will be in the next Glamstam DevNet. And ATAN flags somewhere about adding 7688. I think it's, if ATAN is in the call, Etan, sorry, if he wants in the call, does he want to just quickly say something to that?
No, makes sense.
I think I sensed from Barnabas eagerness to finalize the CL specs as well, and not keep adding small EIP.
Yeah, it would be very nice.
Yeah.
I think we need to make a decision also on the SSD stuff, whether we're going to be doing it or not.
Yeah, I mean,
Not-
Sophie Ingles and Lodestar have the 7688 implemented, right?
Yeah, Tony's. So in order to get through what we need to talk about right now, I think we leave 7688 and we know that 8045 is going to land at some point. First of all, Tony's also mentioning 7997, the factory precompile. We can take that on the list as well. Has it been, sorry, Tony, is it agreed that that's going? Is it CFI'd, SFI'd?
I just remember it was, I think it was CFI'd. Maybe it's even already on the DevNet. I wasn't following too closely. I just remembered recently I stumbled over it and was wondering. It's on it?
No, it's not.
It's not, okay.
It's
yeah,
not
we should
yet.
at some point take a decision if we want to ship it or if we want to delay it to Hector or something.
Is there a quick consensus on that one? Anyone with
I
strong
think we should
feelings?
ship it.
Barnabas is for shipping it.
Oh, the EL. Yeah. Because I think it'd be good.
Mark to CFI, Stefan chimes in right now. I think we need to move on a little bit to the form of the DevNets quickly, because I think that's quite, sorry, Tony, yes, please, before we do that.
Okay, yeah, no, just to add to that point, maybe just for clients to look into the deterministic factory precompile, if it would make sense. I know that there are other ways these days how devs deploy contracts to the same addresses on different chains. For example, there was a new 7702 method used by Safe, which, yeah, we might not even need the precompile, in my opinion.
Yeah, but there's things like frames transactions and some of the, like if you wanted deterministic privacy pool kind of thing, it helps if it's using an enshrined factory.
Yeah, but you get most of it, which is basically the transaction itself, like deploying. You get most of it with the other methods. For example, this new 7702 method also allows you to deploy to the same address on every chain that has 7702, of course.
Yeah, but it doesn't make it as easy to embed in a spec.
Just looking at the complexity assignment for 7997, gets a 5. It seems that people are in consensus about shipping. I think now we're going to have to move to the shape of the next DevNets because it's a very important discussion to have. So I laid out some options in the agenda. So essentially, going into the call, I was kind of assuming that the Glamstam DevNet 4 would get a relaunch as Glamstam DevNet 5 without any spec changes. That does not seem to be the case. It seems that Glamstam DevNet 4 will get 8045 on top of it, and then will be relaunched. Is my understanding correctly for that? So this would be, at the moment, initially CL only changes, and then with an aim of achieving a Glamstam DevNet 5 with a stable CL. Is that correct?
That is correct.
Main priority. Okay.
I think that would make the most sense without adding any more EL changes. But if there's any small EL change that clients are comfortable including as well, I'm not sure if the factory 7997 is a small one or not. If it's a very small one, then it should be included. Otherwise, no.
I think it would be maybe more the question about including some of the already SFI'd spec changes into that DevNet. But before we go down that path, I would just point to the last option, which is laid out in the agenda, which Spencer also commented on in the call, is essentially we could potentially consider launching 2 DevNets simultaneously with Glamstam DevNet 5 targeting mainly CL changes for stability and adding 8045, and then having another BAL DevNet, so a BAL DevNet 8, which would update the AL specs with the changes we discussed above, assuming they all get in, and include 8246, the self-destruct burn, removal 7954, which is the increased max contract size, but with the larger contract numbers, and basically get BAL DevNet 8 in a form which is close to the final EL spec. And then once we have those 2 DevNets, we could consider a Glamstam DevNet 6, which then merge those 2 specs. Would anyone like to chime in with support for that, or say that it's a bad idea? I would be happy to hear either.
Can
I think that's a good idea.
Sorry,
can I just
yes,
Brett.
yeah, go for it.
sorry. I just wanted to point out, so I would be in favor of having more EL EIPs in a DevNet sooner rather than later, but I don't think that should come at the cost of optimizations being delayed, because realistically this is now the one blocker for the entire EL, I feel, because we need optimizations to be merged so that we can get the final numbers, so that we can update the EIPs and give time for the community to adapt to these new gas costs and do the backward compatibility analysis and so on and so forth. So if you tell me that including more stuff on the EL side won't delay optimizations, then I'm all go for it. If there's a possibility of it delaying optimizations, then I would rather we don't, because I feel strongly that optimizations are now like really a blocker for us to have like enough time for the community to adapt to the new gas costs. So yeah, just wanted to raise this point.
Thanks a lot, Maria. So there is the option that we launch Glamstam DevNet 5 with a main focus on the CL stability, and in the meantime, finalize the DevNet benchmarking. Ben?
Yeah, I'd say it depends on how quickly you want to launch DevNet 5, which I assume as soon as possible, because it seems a small change for the CL. Whereas if you want to do it on a newer EL DevNet, then that will delay doing the CL one, doing Glamstone. So I'd recommend you do it on the current version of the EL. But yeah, it depends when you want to launch it.
Yeah, okay. Dragon?
My impression is that there is not a lot AIP that are left. There are basically a few smaller ones. Maybe changes to intrinsic gas is the biggest one. I would like them to be included, all of them to be included in the next DevNet. Be that the Glamsterdam DevNet 6, where we merge CL and EL changes, or the bold DevNet 8. I don't think there is a lot of work there to be done, and yeah, when that's finished, it's like EL side at least is going to have everything in one place.
That makes sense. Thanks, Dragon. Stefan?
Yeah, I think we have like multiple work streams, and the question is like how many resources do we want to put on each? So I think from the EL side, the work for Amsterdam DevNet 5 is pretty minimal. So there's the question, how much work do we want or have to put into benchmarking, and how much work do we want to put into the other EIPs? And I think since we have some important EIPs that are dependent on the benchmarking, I think that should be a focus. And I think the benchmarking efforts should still be done on BAL-DevNet 7. And I think other EIPs, we can target BAL-DevNet 8 and have Amsterdam DevNet 5 launch date this week, and then BAL-DevNet 8 launch date maybe next week or the week after. That would be my suggestion.
Could we stop doing bold DevNet and just do Amsterdam DevNet 6 with the EL changes?
That seems like the other obvious option, what Barnabas just suggested, that we don't try and squeeze in a BAL-DevNet 8, but we create a Glamsterdam DevNet 6 spec with all the finalized EL specs. Or when Glamsterdam DevNet 5 is ready with CL stability, I think there was talk about wanting 2 weeks of a stable DevNet 5 for the CLs before moving on. So that would mean that we would have a 2-week window to finalize the Glamsterdam DevNet 6 spec, roughly, for the ELs. And the CL would be stabilized, and we don't need to squeeze in an additional BAL-DevNet 8 in between. How does that sound to you, for example, Stefan?
I mean, for me, it's if we don't have a stable CL side, then I don't think ELs can make progress. That's the thing I'm concerned about, and I think it will slow us down at the moment. But yeah, I mean, it sounds reasonable still.
So I think my main concern, hearing everyone's opinion, is that if we rush into a BAL-DevNet 8, and start putting focus on that, then we derail a little bit the benchmarking optimizations. Then we start having too many parallel flows potentially, when essentially there's no huge rush from the CL side. So I'm kind of, it's not my place to decide, but I'm kind of just wondering if it makes sense to postpone the decision on BAL-DevNet 8 until next week at least, continue the Bell DevNet 7 benchmarking, let Glamstam DevNet 5 roll out later this week, and then basically come to a decision in ACDT next week as to whether we target for the EL side. The next DevNet would be either Glamstam DevNet 6 or Bell DevNet 8, if there's a holdup on the CL side, for example. I think we still have that freedom. Yeah, Tony states that benchmarking optimizations is better than more APs. I think that's in agreement with what Maria said at the beginning of this discussion. I think Stefan finds the idea good. Spencer says, yeah, optimizations about DevNet 7, of course, and then target the Glamstam DevNet 6 for new EIPs and EIP changes. Okay, so I think we can carry on with Glamstam DevNet 5 being a CL only update.
So we don't have 7997 in it. Is there a decision there?
That's a good question. The other option would be 8. I mean, if we open up that question, then we could also talk about 8246 or even
Could any of the CL devs speak up about 7997? How big of a lift it is? And how many days extra work does it take to do?
This is irregular state transition, basically. It should be few lines. If we had it similar with DAO, it shouldn't be that big of the change. It just inserts the bytecode at some specific address account.
Does it add anything to Glamstam of that? Versus putting it in with all the other EL changes?
No, that's it.
I mean, yeah, we can leave it out as well.
We are coming to the end of the call. I think we can take, yeah. So Mario just brings up the point that instead of 7997, if you put in 8246, it would simplify 7708.
Are we still talking about the Glamstam dev?
This would be, do we sneak in an EL change onto Glamstam DevNet 5, which is primarily for CL stability?
I'd say no.
Okay.
I don't see what it's.
Sometime this week.
In terms of attention, I would lean to perhaps keeping DevNet 5 simple and then moving the EL changes to the next DevNet. But I think we're going to have to continue this conversation async. Carson?
Hey, so Steel Team does have an implementation and tests for it that I'm in the middle of reviewing. I should have that done today. So I do think it's important to get that on a DevNet soon, but I agree it's a little too undercooked for this one, but I want to target the next one for getting that in because it will simplify edge cases for 7708.
Thanks, Carson. Yeah. Stefan is saying let's postpone it. Mario, would you like to speak up?
Yeah, I just wanted to clarify. I meant I prioritize self-destruct board removal over 7997. That's everything I meant. It's not like if we are not discussing that, I mean it's fine too. Yeah.
Okay, thanks, Mario. Thanks, everyone. After the call, I will open up a thread in ETH-R&D and basically outline what we discussed for Glamsam DevNet 5 and just make sure that we're all on the same page. And if anyone has extremely strong feelings about including 8246, for example, then they can raise that there. So I think we've got consensus that Tony is also saying that optimizations take priority, self-destruct takes priority over 7997. And just to be clear, there is an EIP interaction in self-destruct burn, which Carsten outlined before, which is why Mario and Tony are making that statement. Okay, I will open up a thread afterwards, and please chime in if you have strong feelings. Otherwise, I think we'd keep Glamsam DevNet 5 CL only, but we have a couple of days to make a decision. So let's take it async. All right, that's it, more or less. I think there are a few other items at the end, but we are over time, so I will leave them. Thank you very much, everyone, and see you next time.
Thank you.
Thank you. Bye.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Thank you.